April 2nd, 1983. A 3-year-old girl disappears from Louisville, Kentucky. Her name is Michelle Marie Newton, and for the next 42 years, she won't know that name belongs to her. This isn't a story about a stranger in a van. This isn't about a random predator or a trafficking ring. This is about something far more disturbing, something that challenges everything we think we understand about parental abduction. This is about a mother who looked her husband in the eye, told him she was moving to Georgia for a new job, promised she'd prepare a home for their family, and then vanished with their daughter forever. When we think about child abduction, we usually imagine the worst-case scenarios. A child taken by a stranger, a trafficking situation, violence, horror. We think about Amber Alerts and desperate searches and communities coming together to find a missing child. But parental abduction is different. It's often invisible. The child isn't being held in a basement or sold to criminals. They're living what appears to be a normal life with a parent. They go to school, they make friends, they celebrate birthdays. From the outside, everything looks fine. Except it's not fine, because somewhere, there's another parent who has been destroyed. There's a family that's been ripped apart. And the child at the center of it all is living a lie they don't even know exists. Joseph Newton believed his wife. Why wouldn't he? She was the mother of his child. She told him this was temporary. Just give her time to set things up. They'd all be together soon in their new life. But Deborah Newton had other plans. She didn't go to Georgia to prepare a home. She went to Georgia to disappear. And she took their 3-year-old daughter with her. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. Joseph tried everything. He called. He searched. He waited for answers that never came. The last time he spoke to Deborah was sometime between 1984 and 1985. After that, silence. Complete and total silence. Imagine that for a moment. Your wife tells you she's starting a new job. You trust her. And then she just evaporates from existence, taking your child with her. The FBI eventually listed Deborah Newton as one of their top 8 most wanted parental kidnapping fugitives. Let that sink in. Top 8. Out of every parental abduction case in the country, she made the list. But here's where this story gets truly twisted. Deborah didn't just run away. She didn't hide in some remote cabin or flee to another country. She did something far more calculated, far more audacious. She erased herself. Deborah Newton died on paper, and Sharon Neely was born. New name, new identity, new life, new everything. This wasn't a panicked decision made in the heat of the moment. This was methodical. This required planning, social security numbers, documents, a complete reconstruction of her past. You don't just wake up one day and become someone else. You have to think it through. You have to prepare. And Michelle? Little Michelle Marie Newton became someone else too. A different name, a different past, a different reality. At 3 years old, she was young enough to forget, young enough to accept whatever story she was told, young enough to believe that this life, this mother, this identity was all she'd ever known. Think about what that means. Every single day for 42 years, Deborah had to maintain this fiction. Every conversation, every friendship, every new person she met, every casual question about her past, every time someone asked about her childhood, her parents, her history. One slip, one inconsistency, one moment where the story didn't match up, and everything could collapse. How do you do that? How do you look at your daughter every single morning and know you're lying to her about everything? How do you celebrate her birthdays knowing you stole her from her father? How do you tuck her in at night knowing she has a whole family that thinks she's dead or disappeared? The psychological weight of that deception is almost incomprehensible. Most people can't maintain a simple lie for more than a few days without feeling guilty or getting caught. But this is a lie that encompasses your entire existence. You can't tell anyone the truth. You can't confide in friends. You can't have a moment of honesty with a therapist or a pastor or a trusted colleague. You can't write about it in a journal because what if someone finds it? You can't even have an honest conversation with yourself because the cognitive dissonance might be too much to bear. Your entire existence becomes a performance. Every interaction is carefully calibrated. Every story is rehearsed. Every memory is manufactured. And you have to remember all of it. You have to keep your lies straight for decades. And it's not just about keeping secrets. It's about creating an entire fictional history that's believable and consistent. Where did you grow up, Sharon? What was your childhood like? Tell us about your parents. What about old photos from when you were younger? What about extended family? Why don't they ever visit? What about high school friends? College roommates? Previous jobs? Every single question requires another lie. Every lie requires a good memory. Every inconsistency risks exposing the whole house of cards. The mental gymnastics required to pull this off for 42 years is staggering. Meanwhile, Joseph Newton is living in his own personal nightmare. His daughter is gone. His wife is gone. He has no answers, no closure, no body to bury, no grave to visit, just an endless, agonizing question mark. By the year 2000, prosecutors give up on the case. They can't reach Joseph. Maybe he moved. Maybe he changed his number. Maybe the pain was too much and he needed to disappear himself. The case gets dismissed. 5 years later, in 2005, Michelle is removed from the National Missing Children database. She would have been about 25 years old at that point, an adult, living her life, completely unaware that she was ever missing in the first place. Think about that. You're 25 years old. You have memories. You have a history. You know who you are, except you don't. Everything you think you know is a lie, and you have no idea. The case stays cold for years. Joseph is getting older. The chances of ever finding Michelle seem impossibly slim. After 2 decades, you start to accept certain realities. You start to grieve. You start to assume the worst. But in 2016, a family member refuses to give up. They demand the case be reopened. The investigation starts again, but there's nothing new. No leads, no witnesses, no breaks in the case. Until 2025. Someone makes a call to Crime Stoppers. We don't know who they were. We don't know what they saw or how they made the connection. Maybe they saw Michelle, and something about her face triggered a memory of the missing person photos. Maybe they noticed inconsistencies in Deborah's stories over the years. Maybe they stumbled across old news reports. We may never know the full story behind that tip. But that one phone call, that one moment when someone decided to speak up, changed everything. On November 24th, 2025, police roll up to a house in the Villages, Florida. It's a retirement community. Quiet, peaceful, golf carts and shuffleboard and neighbors who've known each other for years. The kind of place where people go to enjoy their golden years in safety and comfort. The kind of place where you'd never expect to find an FBI fugitive. Sharon Neely is outside with her husband. They're with friends, enjoying a normal day. The sun is shining. People are chatting. It's relaxed and casual. Then the police car pulls into the driveway. One of the friends jokes, not sensing any real danger. "They're coming for you, Sharon." Everyone laughs, including Sharon. It's funny because it's absurd. Why would the police be here for Sharon? She's just a normal retiree living a quiet life. Until the deputy speaks, his voice calm and professional. "We're here for you, ma'am." The laughter stops. You can hear it in the body camera footage. That moment when the tone shifts from lighthearted joking to confusion, and then to something darker. Sharon looks confused, almost amused still. "Why?" she asks. Like this must be some kind of mistake. The deputy is calm, professional, almost gentle. "We're waiting on the detective to get here, but with all the information that we have, you have a warrant for your arrest." The friend keeps joking, still not understanding, still thinking this must be some ridiculous mix-up. "They're teasing you." But the deputy shakes his head. "We're not. We have a warrant." And then Sharon says it. 3 words that must have felt true to her in that moment. "I didn't do anything." Except she did. She did something 42 years ago that changed lives forever, and it's finally caught up to her. While police are arresting Deborah, other officers are heading to another house nearby, Michelle's house, and they're about to deliver news that will shatter her entire understanding of reality. Imagine being 46 years old. You've lived your whole life with a certain understanding of who you are. You have memories stretching back to childhood. You know your name. You know your mother. You have a sense of your own history, your own story. You're going about your day. Maybe you're making coffee. Maybe you're checking your phone. Maybe you're planning what to have for dinner. Just another normal day. Then there's a knock at the door. Police officers are standing there, and they tell you something that sounds impossible, something that can't be true. You're not who you think you are. What does that even mean? How does your brain process that sentence? It's like something out of a science fiction movie. It's not supposed to be real. They continue. You're a missing person. You were abducted when you were 3 years old. Your real name is Michelle Marie Newton. In that moment, everything you thought you knew about yourself becomes questionable. Every memory of your childhood, was that real? Every story your mother told you about where you came from, was that a lie? Your name, the name you've answered to for 46 years, isn't actually yours? The identity you've built your entire life on, the foundation of who you are as a person, shatters in an instant, and you're left standing there, trying to understand how this is even possible. You're not who you thought you were. Your mother is not who you thought she was. Your entire life up to this point was built on a foundation of deception, and you had no idea. You were the victim, and you didn't even know you were a victim. Michelle picks up the phone and calls the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, and she does something that must have been absolutely surreal. She arranges to meet her father for the first time in 42 years. For Joseph Newton, this moment is beyond description. He's in his 60s now. He spent most of his adult life without his daughter. He probably mourned her. He probably had moments where he imagined what she might look like if she were still alive. And now, impossibly, she's real. She's here. She's alive. She's always been in our heart, Joseph tells reporters later. I can't explain that moment of walking in and getting to put my arms back around my daughter. It was just like seeing her when she was first born. It was like an angel. But this isn't a simple happy ending. How could it be? Joseph has missed everything. First steps, first words, first day of school, kindergarten graduations, middle school awkwardness, high school proms, college if she went, first jobs, relationships, heartbreaks, triumphs, failures, all the little moments that make up a life, birthday after birthday after birthday, holidays, summer vacations, all of it, gone, stolen. And he can never get those years back. He missed watching his daughter grow up. He missed being there for her when she needed a father. He missed the chance to teach her things, to protect her, to guide her through life. He missed everything that matters. And it's not just about what he lost. It's about what Michelle lost, too. She grew up without a father, without even knowing she had a father who wanted her. She never got to know him, never got to have that relationship, never got to experience having both parents in her life. And Michelle? She's caught between two impossible truths that seem to contradict each other. The mother she loved and trusted her entire life, the woman who raised her and cared for her, and was there for every moment of her childhood, is a criminal who kidnapped her. And the father she never knew, this stranger she's just meeting, has been searching for her since she was 3 years old, has been grieving her, has been destroyed by her absence. How do you process that? How do you reconcile those two realities? Your mother loved you, but she also stole you. Your father wanted you, but you never knew he existed. Everything is true, and nothing makes sense. When Deborah is arraigned on felony custodial interference charges, both Michelle and Joseph attend the hearing, and Michelle makes a choice that surprises people. She doesn't take sides. My intention is to support them both through this, she says. Try and navigate and help them both just wrap it up so we can all heal. Support them both, the father who lost everything, and the mother who took it all. Maybe that's the only way Michelle can process this. Maybe choosing sides feels impossible when your entire reality has been rewritten. Maybe she needs time to figure out who she even is now. Deborah is released on bond, posted by a family member, and the case moves forward through the legal system. But the real questions remain unanswered. Why did Deborah do this? What was so broken in her life, in her marriage, in her mind, that she decided this was the solution? Was the marriage abusive? Was she afraid? Was she running from something? Or was this something else entirely? Some kind of mental health crisis? Some delusion that she was protecting Michelle from something? What made her think she could pull this off forever? Did she really believe she'd never get caught? Did she think Joseph would just give up and move on? Did she think the FBI would stop looking? Did she think Michelle would never question her past, never wonder about her extended family, never ask the hard questions? And how did she live with herself? Every single day for 42 years, she woke up knowing what she'd done, knowing Joseph was out there somewhere, probably broken, probably destroyed by grief, knowing her daughter had a whole other family she'd never met, knowing she was on the FBI's most wanted list, knowing that at any moment, a knock on the door could end everything. Did she feel guilty? Did she have nightmares? Did she wake up in cold sweats thinking about what would happen when the truth came out? Did she ever consider turning herself in? Did she ever think about the damage she was causing? Not just to Joseph, but to Michelle, who was living a lie without knowing it. Or did she convince herself she was doing the right thing? Did she rewrite the story in her own mind until she was the hero saving her daughter from some perceived threat? Did she tell herself that Joseph was a bad father, that Michelle was better off without him, that this was all somehow justified? Did she create an alternate reality in her head where she was the victim and everyone else was wrong? People are incredibly good at justifying their own actions, especially when the alternative is admitting they've done something terrible. The human mind has an amazing capacity for self-deception. We tell ourselves stories that make us feel better, that cast us as the protagonist even when we're clearly not. Maybe Deborah told herself these stories so many times that she started to believe them. Maybe after 42 years, she'd convinced herself that Sharon Neely was real, and Deborah Newton was someone else, someone from a past life that didn't matter anymore. We may never know the answers. Deborah hasn't given interviews. She hasn't explained herself. Maybe she never will. What we do know is this. 3 people had their lives permanently altered by one person's decision. Joseph lost his daughter and 42 years of being a father. Michelle lost her identity and her right to know her own history. And Deborah lost whatever was left of her humanity when she chose deception over truth. This case raises uncomfortable questions about parental rights, about identity, about the long-term psychological damage of living a lie, about what justice even means in a situation like this. Michelle grew up loved, presumably. She had a mother who cared for her, who raised her, who was present in her life every single day. But that mother was also her abductor, the person who stole her from her father and erased her identity. How do you reconcile that? How do you separate the love from the crime? Can you hate someone for what they did, while still loving them for who they were to you? Is that even possible? These aren't questions with easy answers. And what about the justice system? Deborah is facing felony charges, but she's in her 60s now. She's not a physical threat to anyone. She's not going to kidnap another child. The crime happened over 4 decades ago. So what's the punishment meant to accomplish at this point? Is it justice for Joseph, giving him some sense of closure or vindication? Is it about accountability, making sure Deborah faces consequences for her actions? Is it about deterrence, sending a message to other potential parental kidnappers that you will eventually be caught? Or is it simply about the principle that crimes don't have a statute of limitations when it comes to stolen childhoods and destroyed families? That even if 42 years have passed, what Deborah did was wrong and she needs to answer for it. There's also the question of Michelle's own healing. How do you move forward from something like this? How do you build a relationship with a father you never knew? How do you process the fact that the mother you loved was lying to you every single day? How do you figure out who you even are when your entire identity was manufactured? Therapy can help, but there's no roadmap for this. There's no self-help book titled, What to Do When You Find Out You Were Abducted as a Toddler. Michelle is navigating completely uncharted territory, trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And what about the people in Deborah's new life? Her husband, her friends in the villages, her neighbors. They all knew Sharon Neely, and Sharon Neely was presumably a good neighbor, a kind friend, a loving wife. How do they reconcile that person with the knowledge that she was living under a false identity after kidnapping her own child? Do they feel betrayed? Do they feel foolish for not seeing the signs? Or do they feel sympathy for her, believing that there must have been some good reason for what she did, something that justified such extreme measures? These are questions without easy answers. What we can say with certainty is this: the truth always has a way of coming out. Maybe not immediately, maybe not for 42 years, but eventually the lies collapse, the fiction falls apart, and when it does, the damage is catastrophic. One Crime Stoppers tip, one phone call from someone who saw something that didn't quite add up. That's all it took to bring down a 42-year deception. Michelle Marie Newton now knows her real name. She knows her father. She knows the truth about her past, even if that truth is painful and complicated and impossible to fully process. And somewhere in Florida, Deborah Newton, who called herself Sharon Neely for over 4 decades, has to face what she's done. The daughter she raised knows she's a kidnapper. The husband she left behind has his daughter back. And the life she built on lies has finally crumbled. 42 years. That's how long it took for the truth to catch up. But it always does. Eventually it always does.